So I got some new upgrades in the shop going on. First off, I converted my press to an air-over hydraulic. This has been real nice for speeding things up. I also took a broken gasket scraper handle and made my quick release handle out of it instead of having to mess with the jack handle. Did the swag press brake upgrade kit. I also did the finger type, so it'll help with making some brackets and some different stuff there. I also had the gooseneck dies that I haven't done anything else with yet, but I've been enough stuff around here and I managed to break a chunk out of my vise and stuff, so I was looking for a better way of doing that. I also made some shelving out of some scrap parts I had laying around. This holds all my different press stuff, which is a lot of just drops and stuff from work, from some of the hydraulic tube and different things. You never know when you need a variety of sizes to be able to use with the press. I also got the die grinder mounts from Swag Off-Road. It's just kind of nice to get these up on the wall and then it's not cluttering up my bench as bad. And I also just ran a screw into the wall and drilled a hole in the end of one of the wrenches. Didn't have a hole in it, so I can hang my wrenches up for changing tools on the grinder. I tried to do a lot of cleaning. Before, this area right here was just all my scrap metal pieces laying all over the place, so I've organized some of that a lot better and try to utilize this toolbox that I got. I got some stuff sorted out where I got some smaller pieces so they're off the floor and they're actually organized. Got my head support for like porting and stuff, like that rack's up here. I got my jig for doing control arms, and then my bump steer gauge also hung up on the wall. I had the bump steer gauge on the wall, but it was over there where the press is now, so I had to rearrange some stuff, but it's really nice to be able to get these two things up on the wall, hanging out of the way, because I don't use them all the time, and they did take up some floor space. This I'm pretty excited about. This was a hell of a find at a bargain store. It is a used parts washer, but it's a safety clean model that's all stainless steel, so it's actually super nice. It's got a pump and a heater all built into it. It's an aqueous model. It uses the 4-in-1 cleaner, which I just got today. I haven't had a chance to fill it up. The only thing it didn't come with was the barrel, and I actually got lucky and was able to find one of these 30-gallon barrels locally in town for 20 bucks, and then I just cut the top off so that I had to slip into the parts washer base because it's got a welded on ring there to center it and hold it in place. So this will be a nice upgrade. I was worried I didn't have the space, but the press used to be here and I was able to move that to the other side of the shop, reorganize some things, and actually I think I have more space now after moving this in than I did before, just because of how I was able to organize things and gain some more floor space. As you can see, this is not a terribly big garage. It's about 24 by 26 is all it is, but I have to use the space that I can and make it work for me. Usually I can only have one project in here at a time, but I have been able to get my snowmobile in here and work on that this winter alongside the car, but obviously it takes up a lot of this floor space too, so I can only do so much at a time. Got my crankshaft back yesterday for putting the engine back together, so I got the blocks already cleaned and prepped and ready to go over there. Got the crank. I just had to order bearings and one connecting rod because that one that had the bearing damage, honestly it's just cheap insurance to replace the whole thing. So hopefully I'll have all that stuff next week, and then that engine can go back together and we'll be converting it to coil near plug. And as long as I can get that done, hopefully this month we'll be back at the dyno again, coming up in January here. Just waiting on some of the 3-link parts and brackets to show up. They should be getting here this week. I know they're in shipment right now, and then we should be able to keep going on getting the 3-link kits sorted out for the Cutlass. I just had this other part here show up. This is a differential pump for a Ford 9-inch. While I do have a Ford 9-inch, I'm not actually going to be planning to run this in the differential. My plan is to try to see if I can modify this somehow and maybe do some kind of coupler with this gear face here and I'll have to look into it a little bit, yeah, but if it works out, my plan is to hook this up and have a mechanical pump on the transmission to be able to run a transmission cooler, because I know that after 20-minute sessions on track there, that 5-speed is like burn your hand hot, so it'd be nice to be able to run a cooler on that, and as long as I'm getting an external line going and running a cooler, I can put a nice little spin-on filter setup on there as well. We don't need to build any pressure. I just want to be able to have some flow to go through a cooler to keep the transmission temps down. And then if I got a filter, it should just help with wear and longevity in the transmission. I also have a brand new bearing kit and synchro kit for it in the house, so it's going to be completely fresh this year, and I hope this will be a nice thing to add some longevity and basically an all-around upgrade to the transmission as far as parts goes. And pretty soon I'll be getting started on the front suspension as well. We've talked about before, we'll be adding bump stops to the front. However, the way they're currently positioned, we don't have a whole lot of droop, and it ain't getting anywhere near the factory bump stop that was there. You can actually see it's shiny down here and everything above it's dirty, so it's only getting to about here. So I got a taller bump stop stick in there. This factory one's right up, way up here. And I'll be relocating the uppers mount down to here a little lower. This will give me more clearance to this upper control arm, because right now it's actually hitting. You can see the powder coat is banged off of the spring right here, and that's from this control arm coming up and contacting it under heavy load. So we'll be moving this down and inboard. We can then bring a bump stop into play. We should get more droop out of it as well, and if needed, I'll modify these upper control arms to add some more clearance here, because there's about a ½ inch before it gets over to the ball joint. So if I have to cut some material out of there, maybe put a vertical support in across it, that's not the end of the world either. And by doing all that, I should be able to then run another ½ inch taller yet again upper ball joint, so I'll +1 upper ball joint instead of a +1/2 like I'm running now, because the way the tire wear was going for the year, I really need to have more dynamic camber gain still, and I'd rather get it dynamically than statically, because I'd rather get it dynamically versus statically, because then I can keep the tire a lot flatter when the car's traveling in a straight line, which will hopefully help out with braking and stability at high speeds. Beyond all that, the plan is to get the engines swapped out once I come back from the dyno, knowing I have a good power plant that's ready to go. Got the transmission stuff, we're sorting out the rear end. I know there's some steering things I got going on in the front end from the last event. I actually think some stuff was just coming loose. There's a problem, so I'll be looking at that, seeing if there's a way that I can keep that from happening again next year, whether that's drilling some holes in some bolts and then safety wiring it or whatever. And I've got new brakes all the way around, new rotors, new pads, the whole works. We're going to be just swapping everything out. That's what I do every year, just for being prepared for the start of the race season. Or track season, will you? I'll also be going through my differential again. Sure looks like I gained a bit more backlash than should be, and it wore these gears funny. These are 380 gears. I'll probably pull them out. I've ordered another set of super lightweight used NASCAR gears just like these were, so I was pretty happy with them all this year. I mean, and for it being worn funny, and obviously I got something messed up in that, it's still held together all year, versus last year the thing was literally falling to pieces inside with the old setup. So, but I'll actually be switching to a 350 gear, just because, I mean, I went from a 370 to the 380 looking for a little more acceleration for this previous year. But going forward, I'm thinking a 350 is going to be a better option, especially with an engine that's got more power. It'll be going through the gear faster, so if I can make each gear a little bit longer, I hopefully won't turn into where I have to shift a whole lot more at every track I go to. And that's just a quick shop update. It's currently New Year's Eve, and I don't know when I'll get this video out, but obviously we've got a lot going on. Hopefully more parts and things will be showing up in the next week or two, and January should be quite a busy month in making progress on the car.